Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lena and I'd like to talk to you about books I read in May and June. I will have to consult my notes from time to time because I don't actually remember those books that well. First of all, it was a non-fiction, Siege at Jadotville by Declan Power. I'm sorry. This book is about and a company about 150, maybe a bit more, Irish soldiers, Irish UN soldiers, who were cut out of the main forces during the civil war in Congo after Patrice Lumumba was killed, and due to some political decision, some political intrigues, these people were cut out of the main forces, and I think they were under siege for 5 days. Luckily and strangely and miraculously, not one of the soldiers was killed. Many of them were wounded, but no one was killed. I really liked this book. Declan Power, he gives a lot of background knowledge in this book. He talks a lot about the events that led to the deployment of these 150 soldiers to Jadotville, and he describes the political situation. He describes the situation in the UN, not exactly government, but in the headquarters, UN headquarters. And it's very interesting. But when I bought this book, I wanted it to be about the events, so that I could understood what happened. But when I was reading it, I wanted it to be about people. I understand that it's impossible. It's 150 people, and most of them are already dead because it was quite a long time ago. But I don't know. The information this book contains uh, kind of make you like them and make you to want to know more about them. Also, it kind of ruined the movie Siege at Jadotville for me, because of course some events were changed a bit to make the movie um, much more interesting, much more thrilling. For example, there is a scene when a helicopter gets shoot down from the sky, and it actually just broke in the real life. But I still like the movie, and of course many heroic actions that many uh, Irish soldiers did. Um, they were divided in between a very small cast of characters, because there were 150 people or more. You cannot cast them all and to make a movie about them. Anyway, I like the book very much, and I want to read more about it, about the events, and I already have a book by Commander Quinlan's niece. Unfortunately, I cannot remember her name, and I will read it. I hope this book will be about people. Well, next, I've read another book by Scott Fitzgerald, Tender is the Night. And at first, I thought that we finally understand each other, Fitzgerald and I, but no, we are very, very different people. And I understand that he was a very, very talented writer. I understand that he was disappointed in his generation, especially in the people who had money and power, and he considered them ruthless and spoiled and useless and cruel and dishonest, whatever. I just, I don't like reading about it. I have nothing against flawed characters if the author likes them. I just don't want to read about the characters that the author dislike. It's just me, I guess. Well, anyway, this book is about a relationship of Dr. Richard Diver and his wife Nicole Diver, and how their life starts changing when they meet a young actress, Rosemary Spears. It starts like an infidelity novel. You think that there will probably be a relationship between Dr. Diver and this young girl, but it's not about that. It's much more complex than that. It's very psychological. I just don't like it. You know, Fitzgerald, the characters are good, the war description is good, everything is well, excellent, but I just don't like it. I just dislike it. It's not my cup of tea, but it's a very good book, and I liked it much more than The Great Gatsby. Actually, I have met in my life the character, the person who was kind of like Dr. Diver, who needed this admiration from people around him. And next, I read the book which I'm going to look for a very, very long time. I'm sorry. It's two books actually. In May I read a book by Elizabeth Peters, A Crocodile on the Sandbank. This book is about Amelia Peabody, who is a very, very independent woman for a time she lives in. It's probably a Victorian age. I'm sorry, I do not remember. She was raised by her father. That's why she is quite an independent woman. First of all, she has a means of her own. She has money. Second, her father didn't gave her that much attention, and she was quite strong-minded. She is quite educated. She's quite educated. She is very emancipated woman, and she likes archaeology. She likes Egyptology. And she, when her father dies and she inherits the money, she decides to travel to Egypt and to be this Egyptologist. Just to see for herself what it was like in Egypt. And she meets a very young girl who, let's say, is whose reputation is ruined, who is disinherited, and she takes this girl as her companion because she likes this girl, because she wants to help this girl, and because she this very young English girl actually has quite a lot of character and can be a good companion to Amelia. And those two women meet two brothers, Radcliffe Emerson, who is basically a brood, and Walter Emerson, who is a very nice English gentleman. And chance has it, it happens by chance that they are visiting the archaeological site that brothers work on. And there is a mummy walking around at night, which it seems to want this site to be closed and to all the archaeological works to be seized and the site to be abandoned. And it seems this mummy has some unhealthy interest in Amelia Peabody and her companion Evelyn Barton Forbes. So it's a mystery book with a very good sense of humor, with an excellent set of characters. Well, you can look at it as a palate cleanser, which will not annoy you in any way, which will thrill you in every way. It's a very, very good book. Of course, it's not. It wasn't written to educate you, but it was written to entertain you, and it does a wonderful job. So this is the first book in the series, and it is called. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. One moment. That's what the cover looks like. Elizabeth Peters, Crocodile on the Sandbank. And the second book in the series is called The Curse of the Pharaohs. This time, Amelia again is in Egypt, and she works at the archaeological dig. The owner of this dig, the previous owner of this dig, well, let's say the management of the dig opened up a tomb of pharaohs. And after a couple of days, maybe less, the owner of the dig was dead, and his helper, his right hand, his manager, was missing, and people continued to die. So it was, the paper said that the tomb was cursed, and it's actually a curse working on these people who opened the tomb. So Amelia, she and some of other people, they help the widow of this owner to continue this archaeological expedition and to fulfill her dead late husband's dream, and to prove that there is no curse. Of course, it's not that easy, because accidents start to happen to closest people to Amalia and to her herself. So it's mystery. It has good sense of humor, good set of characters. It's wonderfully written. It's very entertaining, and it's very, very restful. That's why I have finished this book in June, the month that was not that successful for me, reading wise. Next. The Black Witch by Laurie Forest. Guys, I tried to make a separate video on this subject because it is very, very contradictory. This book was accused of being racist. I suppose you cannot write a book about racism without some very racist statements and remarks and so on. So basically, Ellerin Gardner, she is a young girl who happens to be a granddaughter of a very, very powerful mage who was called Clarissa Gardner. And this she wore a title of the Black Witch. She was the strongest witch in the whole nation, and she is very appreciated in this nation, in the Gardnerian nation, because of her war heroism, because of her war achievements, and she basically committed a genocide. So we have a world which is full of different magical races. And we have Gardnerians, who is a leading ruling race in this world. And they have something that they call the Holy Book, the ancient Holy Book, the Book of Ancients. And in this book it said that they are the only nation that can wield magic, that everybody else who wield magic needs to be destroyed. So basically, they are waiting for the next Black Witch to show up, and they will bring war on other nations. They almost wiped out one nation. There are only women left because they are not magical, and they are enslaved, basically. So all the magical creatures will be killed, and all non-magical creatures and non-Gardnerians they will be enslaved. And Gardnerians will inherit all the lands of all these other magical races. So this basically is a story about taking sides. Ellerin, her uncle managed to raise her and her brothers somewhere in the small village on the fringe of the country, so they were not brainwashed. But they are Gardnerians. They were raised on the tales that Gardnerians say. They were raised among Gardnerians, so they have quite, at least Ellen has quite a lot of garbage in her head. And as I understand it, people were offended by her remarks that she kind of against Gardnerians, but she kind of say all these racist things. She talk about the purity of blood. She talks about the uh, the impossibility for a Gardnerian woman or a Gardnerian man to marry somebody else, that it's wrong, that it's against the rules, that it's she also uses such words as half-breed and so on. So people got offended at that, but it's a book about racism. And for me, I actually judged her by the acts, by her acts. Yes, she did say a lot of unnecessary garbage. I guess Laurie Forest didn't feel that this girl could change that much in such a short time, and she was picturing her kind of wavering. So basically, it's a book about taking sides. Ellerin, she has this great power inside her, and she might be the next, the Black Witch. So if she takes the side of the all these different magical races, she they will be, probably have chance to survive. If she sides up with her own nation, with the Gardnerians, those people are going to be wiped out. They are going to be murdered. Women, children, old men, old women, men, everybody. So I loved the world very, very much. I loved it very much. Uh, Unfortunately, I am not much of a fantasy reader. I read The Lord of the Rings and I love the world very much, but I cannot actually say why I love it. Thanks to Tolkien alone or thanks to Peter Jackson, because I actually found out about the books when after the movie. Well, I love this world, Peter Jackson and Tolkien's world very, very much. And I loved the Laurie Forest world very much. Unfortunately, I cannot say how much of that was borrowed and how much of that was created. But the world, it was complex. It was very realistic. It was wonderful and interesting, and I liked a lot of characters. Next thing, first third of the book was the world building, and it was very interesting. Second, third part of the book was a bit heavy because the misunderstanding took place. Eleanor, she is entering a university to become an apothecary. And can you imagine nowadays, and for example, somebody show up in your university, and this somebody is very closely related to Hitler. So she doesn't actually find friends right away. And a lot of bullying and from her part, and bullying that was aimed at her happens, and it's all very, very unpleasant. But when you read this part, you just ask yourself for whom you are rooting, and it will not be Eleanor. So Laurie Forest wrote this book, these things, in such a way that we are not rooting for the main character, we are rooting for the people that she offends. So you cannot call Laurie Forest racist, and you need to judge people by their acts, not just by their words, because first of all, we are not very good at conveying the meaning, conveying what we think. Our deeds show better what we mean, who we are. So ask yourself who are her friends eventually, whom she becomes friends with, and whom she falls in love with. So I actually like this book so much that I pre-ordered something that I thought to be a sequel, but it turned out to be a prequel. It's Wandfasted by Laurie Forest, and I actually got this book. It was out in the 1st of July, July, 1st of July. I'm sorry. So I have this book, but right now it's not about Ellerin. I'm not that enthusiastic about it right now, but I will read it. What's next? Next, it's a very, very small book, but still, it's How to Tell a Story by Mark Twain, his essays. And it actually looks like a talk, like some sort of lecture show. And it's hilarious. It's so funny, but unfortunately, it's about telling a story. So it's not about a written story, but about the story you tell to people. But well, I like it very much. If you can find it, you should read it. Then some things I failed to read. And first of all, it was War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I read it in Russian, and I love it very much. I loved quite a lot of English books by English-speaking writers, like To Kill a Mockingbird, like Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury. I even like, believe it or not, many people do not like it, The Catcher in the Rye. I loved One Flew Over the Cuckoo Nest. I love those books. But most of the time, I feel like American authors, they talk to me, they talk to my brain. They kind of asking me, "Are you clever enough to understand this? Do you follow us?" And they do not talk to my heart, to my soul. And Tolstoy, he does it. He shows. First of all, he loves his characters, even the most flawed of them, and he manages to convey this love and to give this love to me and to other readers and he talks to me, to the perfect human being I want to be, to the flawed individual I am. He talks about people like me, with people with wrong judgment, people who makes mistake, people who has their hopes crushed, um, who just misjudge things, misjudge the world, and who changes by who is changed by the world, by the war that is happening, um, the war with Napoleon. And I love it very, very much. But unfortunately, I have read only 60% of the first volume, and I should have finished it in July. I suppose all the girls did. Also, I failed in a read-along, which was The Savage Detectives by Roberto Bolaño. I'm sorry, guys. I know I should have checked the spelling. I'm so sorry. I failed it as well. Why? It wasn't that much entertaining, guys. I won't lie to you. It just wasn't that much entertaining. And I am 24% in. And I read this book with Adam from Memento Mori and with Valentina. And I leave all the channels down below, but I think you know them already. But if you don't, go check them out. Go check their channels out. They're great. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to find the. Oh, sorry, guys. It's not interesting. This is the cover. This is the cover. And Adam actually have managed to finish this book, and a couple of our friends, they DNF'd it, and I think I probably will DNF it too. I'm not into it. It's not exactly educational. It tells nothing about the poetry movement. This kind of tells about it. I don't. If I finish it, I will talk about it in my next wrap up. I also started a book. Sorry, guys. A sci-fi book. I haven't written sci-fi in ages, and it's called the Behemoth, the Rise of Mankind. Why they don't actually show me the cover? I'm sorry, guys. So this is the cover, and I bought it because of the cover. I was how do you call it? Smug enough to think that I don't buy books because of the cover, and I bought 4 books because there was a spaceship on each and every one of the covers. So I am only 1 chapter in, and there is a lot of smirking going on. Everybody smirks, even an alien. So it's a bit of yeah, it's that kind of book, but it might be very interesting. I'm going to read it. I'm going to continue reading it. And I suppose no, it's not all. I just don't have it here. It's on my phone, guys. I hope I have it. I'm not sure. because I don't even remember the author. I started to read this book, and actually I'm maybe 60% in, maybe 70% in. And this book is called Annihilation. I heard about it the um, on the Sophie's Carlin channel. I link the channel down below. And it's a trilogy, and she loved it very much. The first book she loved very much. The second book she didn't love that much, and the third book she was very hopeful about. But it's not my kind of tea. Again, it's about 4 people, an expedition that is sent to the Area X, and 12 um, previous expeditions didn't succeed. Something happened. Sometimes people shoot each other, sometimes people shoot themselves, sometimes they suddenly appeared at homes and they were not themselves, and it's very strange, and you cannot understand what's going on. You cannot believe these things that going on. It might be um, someone hallucinating. Someone might be delirious, or it might be very, very strange place that change people, that affect the way they see things, see themselves, and the way they function in the world. So it's the subject matter wasn't interesting to me, and isn't interesting to me, but it's a very interesting read. It's strange. I from the start, at the start of the book, I thought that it was a lot of bullshit, but I kept on reading, and I'm almost finished it, and I kind of like it. So until the next time, bye.